everybody, it's Sam Jacobs. Welcome to Friday Fundamentals. I hope you're having a great day. We're excited today to talk to you about the power of silence. I think your sales manager or an executive or somebody, hopefully, has shared some of these ideas with you in the past. But we're really just going to focus on why a lot of the times when we get ourselves in trouble in sales, it's because we're uncomfortable with silence and we talk into the silence and negotiate with ourselves. And that's something that we do not need to do. And in fact, you're giving power and leverage back to the buyer and the prospect. And so we're just going to talk a little bit about the power of silence. Now, before we dive into that, we of course want to thank our sponsors. So Friday Fundamentals is brought to you by Outreach. Outreach triples the productivity of sales teams and empowers them to drive predictable and measurable revenue growth by prioritizing the right activities and scaling customer engagement with intelligent automation. Outreach makes customer-facing teams more effective and improves visibility into what really drives results. If you were at Unleash last week in San Diego, you missed an outstanding time. Hopefully you can make the next one, but Outreach is really doing a fantastic job with their growth. They've got a number of incredible customers, and they put together an amazing conference in a beautiful place in San Diego. And I was honored to be a part of it and host a few sessions. Now, one of the things today that we're going to talk about, the only thing, in fact, is we're going to talk about the power of silence. So first of all, this is data and information that I think a lot of folks have shared. Chris Orlob from Gong, I'm sure Chorus has done some analysis, but first of all, there's a ratio that we're looking at when we are evaluating the quality of a sales conversation. The ratio is who's talking. So in a good sales conversation, we want them to talk 2/3 of the time, and we want to talk 1/3 of the time. So if you've got some kind of analysis software like a Chorus, like a Gong, like some kind of framework that helps you evaluate the, who's talking and when, look at that and make sure that you're not talking too much. We don't want the salesperson to really be in a conversation where they're doing the majority of the talking, because it's inevitably going to be about you and yourself and not enough about the customer. So also remember this little maxim: when they're talking, you have the power, and when you're talking, they have the power. And there's a bunch of variations on that theme, but you must be comfortable with silence. And you'll be amazed at how effectively silence can be deployed. And when people ask you a question, you don't have to give a long-winded answer. When there's discomfort because you've come to the end of something to say to each other, you don't have to fill the silence with conversation. And in fact, you develop power and authority the more effectively you can use silence. So for example, if someone says, "Wow, don't you think that's expensive?" You can say, "No, I don't." And then you can just be silent. If somebody says, "Is there anything more you can do on the price?" You can simply say, "Unfortunately, there isn't." And then you can just absorb and enjoy the silence. So use silence as a weapon. Try to make sure that you're doing no more than 1/3 of the talking. Of course, the way that you do that is by asking questions. And train yourself to not fill a void with silence by negotiating with yourself. Another useful tip: press mute on the phone after you're done talking, just as a confirmation to yourself that you don't need to be talking and you're blocking yourself from the ability to even say anything. So again, silence is a very, very powerful mechanism because it creates a discomfort that you can use to your advantage. And also, people like to talk about themselves. The prospects like to talk about themselves. So we don't want to be in a situation where they are doing all of the listening and you're doing all of the talking. So silence is very, very, very powerful. The best salespeople are comfortable with 1 to 2 word answers when appropriate. The best salespeople are comfortable asking open-ended questions. The best salespeople are used to perhaps periods of protracted and extended silence and not feeling the need to jump into that gap by saying something, not feeling the need to make things more comfortable, because your goal isn't to necessarily make things comfortable. Your goal is to guide the prospect towards a decision to hopefully purchase your solution. And sometimes silence is the most effective way to do that. So this has been a short one. This has been Friday Fundamentals. Thanks so much for listening. If you want to reach out to me, this is your host, Sam Jacobs. You can find me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/in and then /Sam F. Jacobs. And please support our sponsor, Outreach. And I hope to see you next time.